Hey, beautiful souls. So, in this video, I'm going to be doing an energetic reading on speaker Knockerz. I don't know if you guys remember him, but I do. His music he was ahead of his time. He was revolutionary. I remember back in 2014, 2013, 2012, I think that was really when he was like in his prime with the music. Back during Vine days, that's kind of where I place him in my memory, but really, how he came to me is I was bumping one of my old playlists, and I listened to one of his songs, and then something was like, okay, like, I want to look more into this. Like, something like, I think this is kind of how, like, it's different for everybody. I don't know what this gift would be called or whatever. It's fairly new for me. I use cards, but not only that, I can, like, just look at a picture, or, like, if I just ask about somebody, like, I'll just ask my higher guides and guardians to connect with their higher guides and guardians, and whatever wants to come through, whatever is okay to be shared. That's how I do this. But anyways, basically, for speaker Knockerz, so I kind of like asked, I was like, yes or no, like, he died, his death wasn't foul play, right? And they're like, yes, like, so he was killed by carbon dioxide in the car. Young boy, I got young boy trying to make it. He was heavily envied and desired, sought after, because he was a trendsetter. He was definitely a way shower, and we'll get into that more later in the video. Okay, so even though he was very popular, and like you would think from like exterior, if you were just like looking at like a picture of him, you would think, oh, he's real flashy. He's probably hella like he's like a extrovert, but really I feel like he was a heavy introvert. He was very to himself, and he really preferred like to be in smaller spaces than larger crowds. He was a targeted human being, etherically and eventually psychically. Okay, so basically when I mean targeted human being, because I have this card in my deck, that's usually comes out when people are starseeds, when people are indigos, when they're here to anchor higher frequency missions. You'll kind of like that X on your back, kind of in the astral realm, for these reversal beings, to be rude, or not be rude, but take you out, so to speak. And unfortunately, this kind of played into his story. So he is an indigo. Ties to West Africa and the citation. So probably a connection to the stellar nation of the whales too, because again, they're into sound frequency, healing, having big hearts, just masters at sound technology. That's really what I picked up with him, though. And West Africa came through for him, so I don't know if he has family or indigenous roots to West Africa, but I got that card for him. So sorry, I'm getting lost. So this was his dream. So like I asked, I was like, did this just happen? Was this like fated, or like did this just come about randomly? Like I didn't really know his story, and it was like, no, this was his dream, and he had a plan, and he wanted to just get paid for creating from his true heart song. Like a lot of us indigos and starseeds, like, sorry, some of my readings may sound repetitive, but I feel like there's a certain selective amount of people who are going to come to me because of specific things they recognize in me that I've been through too, and then I'll be able to communicate, and I can recognize and pick up on these patterns. So anyway, so sorry about that, but so this was his dream. He just wanted to get paid. He wanted to live the life for making music. Of course, like, fame appealed to him, but it wasn't all that it was cut out to be, and he understood that, because this young man passed away fairly young. I don't think he even made it to 20. I don't think so. I don't know. He may have seemed different because he knew what he was in for. So basically, he moved different. So like, someone has a dream, you know what I'm saying? You want to be famous, you go to Hollywood. Obviously, a lot of times, it's not cut out to what it's to be. Like, you know what I'm saying? I felt like there was somebody who had came to him who wanted to sign him, or I don't know if he did get signed by this label, but there was somebody who wanted to sign him, and he kind of was like, no. I don't know if like it was a physical like no, or like he just kind of like physically, his like on a soul level, he kind of withdrew if he did agree to something like that. Because again, he was a higher definitely a higher dimensional being, here to anchor higher frequencies through his sound tones, through his music, through his beats, even, you know, waking people up, you know what I'm saying? Even him rapping about, you know, rapping about being hungry, you know, not having no money, like, you know what I'm saying, the struggle. There's so many other people and so many other, you know, people out there are just going through that, you know what I'm saying? So spiritual warfare, that card came out, and that made so much sense to me, okay? So temper, agitation, hypervigilant, anxiety, I picked that up with him. So maybe he had a little bit of a temper, but I feel like it came because, like, he was raised in an urban area, and since he was very sensitive, so he was an indigo, so he was very empathic, very in tune, you know, whether he would have been like, oh, I'm an indigo, or, you know what I'm saying, but he was, and he was very sensitive to his environment. So being in, like, you know, very overpopulated, you know, cities and things where there's high crime rates, you know, you have to be hyper vigilant. And I feel like this anxiety really played into his, like, I'd rather be to myself, you know, rather a few people be around me than a lot of people, you know. So he was a way shower and a way maker, okay? Especially for new artists or, you know, new creative beings, that starseeds that are coming online that are not mainstream, but they're making music that's from their true heart song. It's not something somebody wrote out for them and told them here and told them to go perform with all these secret symbols and sigils behind. You know, they actually genuinely want to be paid or to be appreciated for doing what they love. You know, there's so many places out there in the galaxy where this is a thing. So he did want to make it big for his creative skills, but when he got to the industry, he realized it wasn't as it seemed, and then he straight sized. I don't know what I meant by that. He was very aware of what was going on, though, and he wasn't to be forced to do anything and that he didn't want to do. So here's the thing, so whether he did sign a contract, whether he was going to go mainstream, I felt like, again, on a soul level, he pulled back from that. Like, intuitively, he may have been, like, had a bad feeling, like, oh, no, this is not going to go good. Like, oh, my God, what's going on? And then, like, you know, causing a lot of anxiety. But then, like, or I'll just do this so I can make it to the next step, to maybe get my sound to where I really want it to be, to reach more ears, right? But his oversoul chose an exit point. Because I got the card exit point. Allegedly. So before his template was totally taken over, and he was one of many. He was a trendsetter for sure. So I don't know if you guys have ever heard of exit points, but those things are real. So I asked Spirit, I was like, did he know he was going to die? Yes, on a soul level, he did. Okay. So what was his purpose or his mission? So he was going to start bringing out music and beats that were healing to a certain audience. So again, he was going to be able to reach a certain urban, or, you know, people who, you know, come from the trenches and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Been through the hustle, know the grind, the struggle of life. He was going to start his music that he was going to come out with, you know, whether it was through his sound frequency, so whether it was through his beats or whether it was through his voice, he was activating, healing people, okay? That's how powerful, you know, these indigo templates can be, y'all. So, and then I said this was an energetic attack, so I don't think this was like, I feel like he was targeted, allegedly, by, like, business people, but really this was like a hit, like an energetic, etheric attack on a sensitive, high vibrational being. And also his soul, since he's very high dimensional, high vibrational, also chose, like, okay, I'm going to take this exit point before I'm fully taken over, and you know what I'm saying, it's hard for me to come back from that. That's what I got. Call me crazy, I don't know, call me crazy. So what was he like? I got that he was strategic, funny, a good time to be around. He was loyal to a fault. He was very caring, collaborative, money focused. He had his days, he had his ways, right? But this was his dream. He was very passionate. And then I asked, did he come from humble beginnings? They said yes. Survivor's guilt, I got from him. He had a little bit of survivor's guilt. So maybe there was a lot of people around him that, you know, he wanted to see wanted to be around him when he made it but weren't. So what led to this happening? My card AI interference came out. So this was a choice he made before he'd be spliced. He was an indigo, so he was sensitive, artistic, driven, targeted. Business hit. They wanted to sign him to a bigger label or handler because I got the card business hit. I made that card in my Oracle deck. Frequency traps. Okay, frequency traps. He's like, you know, I can still be who I am and make money and get out of the system. That was his consciousness. Because I thought of the Matrix movie when I was thinking about him, channeling him, tapping into his energy, right? And then also when I looked at the clock and it was 1:41. And basically that just means he came here to shift sound frequencies and not to be owned by them. Like he was here to like build new ways and you know, things, and also to anchor. He was a high vibrational frequency anchor. He was an indigo. La 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 la, you know, this bitch is crazy, da 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 da. But rest in power to Speaker Knockerz. Your music is always gonna bump. It's always gonna hit. You know what I'm saying? You will be missed. I mean, you are missed and loved by so many, including myself. And yeah, I will talk to you guys in the next video.